Get ready for a life-changing experience at the stunning Coconut Bay Beach Resort and Spa in St. Lucia from June 12th to 17th. Our theme for this transformative retreat is Naked and Unashamed. This isn't just a getaway, it's a heart-renewing journey that will bless and inspire you. Are you feeling like the spark is dimmed, or perhaps you're navigating the stormy seas of a troubled marriage? Maybe you're in a good place, but just want to deepen your connection. Wherever you find yourself, this retreat is designed for you. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. Together, let's lift each other up and create a strong and unshakable bond. Expect to be fully engaged as we delve deep. Each session will peel back those barriers, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Our dynamic guest speakers, Pastor Kevin L.A. Ewing and Deidre Ewing, will guide us through powerful sessions, while host Lucian and Tracy Humphreys create an environment full of love and support. But that's not all. Get ready for laughter, adventure, and some delightful surprises. From fun, immersive, thought-provoking activities and exciting excursions to delicious meals prepared just for you. This retreat will be a feast for your heart, mind, body, and soul. For a moment, let's leave behind the routine and embrace the extraordinary. This isn't just an event. It's an opportunity to reignite your passion, connect with God, and rediscover each other in a breathtaking paradise. Space is limited, so don't wait. Register now to secure your place at the Marriage Mechanics Retreat and transform your relationship into a love that thrives. Your journey to restoration and joy begins here. Are you ready?
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, good people.
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
We are excited. We are here. We are back. And we always enjoy doing lives. We always enjoy the personal one-on-one with you guys. Sometimes when we get busy or our schedule gets the best of us, that sometimes we have to improvise. But
yes,
we really enjoy talking with you guys and bringing and coming from our heart, because everything that we do comes from our heart. So we have a topic that I had wanted to do for a little while. Tracy and I discussed
we've been
it.
wanting to do it for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And every time we tried to do it, it was like
something came, right?
But we're going to do it tonight in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. So what is the subject material? Well, before we even do all of that, let me introduce myself. I'm being rude. My name is Lou Humphreys.
And I'm Tracy Humphreys.
And we are the Marriage Mechanics. And if you're joining us for the very first time, you may have seen that promo video. Say, what is that all about? Well, Tracy and I, we do marriage retreats. We are called the Marriage Mechanics. And often we do retreats, we do workshops, seminars, and things of that nature. And we are having our next marriage retreat in sunny St. Lucia. When is that happening, Tracy?
It's happening June the 12th to the 17th. And we're very excited about it. This one is going to be slightly different because what we're going to be doing with a lot of the couples is just walking them through different exercises. It's going to be so powerful. There'll be a little bit of teaching, but it's going to be mostly, putting the couples through a process that is going to be powerful, exciting, but fun also.
Absolutely.
Going to be a lot of fun. So we're very excited about that. And we're excited for those of you that are going to join us.
Absolutely.
So we look forward to that.
We look forward to it. And, you have time to still register. Go to our website, marriagemechanics.com, or send us an email, marriagemechanics@gmail.com, if you would like to register and find out some more details. Now, what is our subject for tonight, Trey?
Tonight, we're going to be talking about the marriage vows.
Marriage vows. And, guys, we like to have fun. We joke around a lot, but the marriage vows are something very
Yeah.
serious and sacred.
Very
And
serious.
the reason we wanted to talk about this is because, you know, the cost of marriage has risen, skyrocketed, but the amount of divorces have also skyrocketed. It's almost like people are more interested in the wedding than they are in the marriage. And Tracy and I, we thought about this, and like mechanics, we like to diagnose. So we got to the root cause of it. And one of the things that we have ascertained by looking at this is that there are many people who don't understand the seriousness of the vows that they take. And the reason they don't understand the seriousness of the vows is because very often they change the vows. They don't say these vows. Sometimes they don't get married in the church. Now, I'm speaking from a Christian perspective, so just please understand, if you are not a Christian, then this may not apply to you. But if you are a Christian, or if you're someone who follows the Christian ethos, then you'll understand the importance of these vows, because these vows are written very specifically. And here's the thing that I want people to understand. These vows were written so that it covers you for the entirety of your marriage. Okay. And marriage is something that should be taken seriously because it's a lifelong commitment. You know, it amazes Tracy and myself that people are willing quickly to take on large commitments like co-purchasing a home together, or having a child together, several children together, but are apprehensive about a marital commitment. I mean, think about that, guys. You are more willing to exchange your finances, creation of a new life for the rest of that child's life or children's lives, but having a commitment to a marital union is something that gives you apprehension. That just really you know, is very strange to me. But I want us to explore this. We're going to break it down in a way, and we did this in our book, but we're going to do this again because we felt that it was very important. Tracy, do you want to start, or you want me to start?
You can start, but I just wanted to say, you know, I totally agree with you. And I believe that the marriage covenant is something that is so serious. And I think that so many people have played with it, mocked it, abused it, treated it and can we be honest and real?
Let's be real.
I'm going to be honest and real. We have, you know, at a portion of our marriage, we've done things to breach that covenant. We've done things ourselves. And if most married couples are really honest with themselves, you will say, for the married people out there, you will say, maybe I have been guilty of, you know, abusing these vows, or misunderstanding these vows, or not taking them very seriously. And so as we have grown and matured in our marriage, we've gotten to a place where we're like, this is really serious. When you really break it down and having the discussions, as the last couple of weeks we've been discussing this before we actually came on to talk about it, and we're like, wow, this is serious. And it's not something you step into lightly. This is not a thing you just wake up one day and you just do. People do it and then they work through it. But when you really sit and understand these vows, you realize that it's something that you have to, you just cannot take it lightly.
You can.
Right? So, babe, you can go ahead and start.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do firstly is to define the word vow. What is a vow? Well, the definition of a vow is a set of promises committing one to a prescribed role, a calling, or a course of action. Okay. Some synonyms of the word vow are solemn promise, a bond, a
Mhm.
covenant, an affirmation, a guarantee. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you understand how important a vow is, people would take it a little bit more seriously. You know, I have a respect for people who say, you know, I don't think marriage is for me, or I'm too selfish. I don't want to get married. Or someone who says, you know, mentally or mature wise, I'm not ready to be married. You see, I
Mhm.
respect that more is because that person has done some self introspection. And that introspection has led them to say, you know what? This is too serious for me to play around with.
Yeah.
Because now you're playing around with someone else's life. You know, we watch popular culture and you see it in Hollywood, or you see it in the sports um, arena, or any even political places. People that are married, they get married and 2 years later they're divorced, or 20 years and then they get divorced, and
Yeah.
a variety of reasons. And the reasons are not really what we're dealing with right now, because the Bible only gives you two reasons, right? Unless there's a sexual immorality, i.e., cheating, adultery, or the abandonment of the believer by an unbelieving spouse. Those are the reasons why you can get a divorce, right? Now, there's some gray areas in there as well, because we live in a modern society, and if there's any sort of physical abuse or things of that nature where your life is threatened, then I can understand where the divorce might be an option in that sense. But one of the things that I wanted to really break down, and Tracy and I, we're gonna try our best to go through this step by step, not just to say, hey, the vows are important, but literally go through them and tell you why they're important. Let's start in the beginning, Tracy. Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Now you say it to me.
I do.
Oh, well, I'm glad you do. Well, she would say, I mean, the Reverend would say, do you take this this man, to be your lawfully wedded husband, and vice versa, right? When you say this part of the vow, you are saying, I am making this vow
Mm.
in full awareness, and I am voluntarily doing so. No
Yeah.
one is coercing me, or no one should be coercing me.
Yeah.
I am doing this out of my heart, out of a sober heart, a sober mind,
Yes.
right? And I am saying, I am going to do this because I'm aware of the responsibility that I am entering into.
Yes.
Okay. Number three, you're also aware of the legal ramifications. And I want to really talk about it. I talk about this in my book, but I want to talk about the legal ramifications, because some people say, hey, um, I don't know about a marriage. It's a piece of paper. I love with my heart, and my girl, or my guy. We know how much we love each other, and these legal things. People just want to take
Government.
half of your money, and it's the government, and all
Yeah.
these things that people say. But do you know why the legality has to come into it? Because if there's not a legal binding agreement, remember, a marriage is a binding covenant. It's a covenant that you're making spiritually, and it's a covenant that you're also making in the natural.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're making it in the spirit realm, that's one set of covenant, but you're also making this covenant in the natural. And in the natural, you're legally telling the world, this person and I are legally joined. What I have is hers. What she has is mine. We are doing life together. All rights, all privileges go to her. All rights, all privileges come to me, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is something, and the reason that it has to be so serious is because it can't be taken into lightly.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
legally, when you think about it, when you own a home, you have assets, you have a business, you have finances. There's so many legal things that comes with two people joining together. So the legalities has to be a part of it, because then anybody can just come in and do anything, take your assets or sue or do whatever. So it has to have the legal aspect to it, because a lot of things that you're going to do involves the law. It involves legalities, like I said, owning things and making sure that things are decent and in order. And so because some people, they don't want to deal with the legal stuff, but it's very important. Now, some people believe in prenups and things like that. We on our 21-day couples challenge, we gave our thoughts on prenups. But for those people that want to put that in the modern day times, there's a lot of people in the church and out of the church that are utilizing prenups. And if you do that, that's on you. But again, it's there are legalities involved. And so that's why we say lawfully wedded husband and wife. And so that is a very important key part to this whole component.
And I love that breakdown that you're saying, Tracy, because legally, and here's another thing, what is to separate you being with someone as a friend? Oh, I love you. You're my friend. I love you. Right? What is to separate that from the role of a wife or a husband? See, when it's legal, now it's not just talk. Now it's not just, see, the thing that happens is these vows were created to protect us from our flesh. Your emotions, your flesh is fickle. Today, oh my goodness,
tomorrow down.
I love this person today. Tomorrow I don't like this person. Today I want to share. Tomorrow I don't want to share. Right? That's why contracts were invented. Contracts were invented to bind people from changing their minds. That once you get into this contract, I am agreeing to the terms of this contract. In the natural, when I get into this agreement with this person for the rest of my life, I am agreeing that I'm going to take on the roles and responsibility as a husband. She's going to take on the roles and responsibilities of a wife for the rest of our natural lives. Right? Remember, this is another reason why marriages are done in front of an altar. See,
spiritual.
This is a spiritual
exchange.
This is not an act of just, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Let's get married. Sure, why not? I'm married. You say it. I'm married. Then we're married. No, it has to be deeper. It has to have more meaning behind it. And like Tracy said, when you're in front of an altar, this is a place where spiritual exchange takes place in the natural and in the supernatural. Thank you, Minister Kevin. I got that from him. All right. But the importance of that is that a spiritual exchange is taking place. God is saying, okay, I'm sanctifying this. Okay, I'm breathing on this because you've done it according to the way in which I said to do it. So I'm going to breathe on this. All right. This is why, if you can, a church service is very important. It's not exclusive. You can get married without it, but that's the importance of it. That's the reason why it was made.
Yeah.
All right. The fifth thing I want to discuss is that when you are getting married, you are making a decision.
Yeah.
Now, I talk about decisions a lot because I believe that a lot of people do not have a definitive nature. They don't make a decision and stick with it. They like to be ruled by their emotions and their feelings. And I just gave you an example. Feelings and emotions are mercurial. They go up one day and down the next, right? But once you make a decision, you're saying, you know what? I burned all bridges. I'm making a decision. However it's going to play out, it's going to play out, right? And I remember I was speaking to a gentleman one time about marriage, and he goes, well, how do you know? What if you make a wrong decision? I said, well, you know what? If you make a wrong decision, you have to live with it. Right?
And fix it.
Or if you can fix it, fix it. Here's the thing. I don't know why people feel that the person you marry is going to be perfect. I'm flawed. So I am going to be marrying another flawed human being because we're human beings, right? We're going to make mistakes.
We're going to disappoint.
We're going to disappoint. But here's another thing. We're also going to evolve and we're going to grow. And the goal is for us to evolve and grow together. A lot of people don't realize love is not just the feeling. It's something that you have to actively work and cultivate.
Yeah.
I love Tracy now more than I did when I first got married to her, because when I first got married to her, it was mostly flesh. It was mostly, she's awesome, she's great, she's pretty, she's fine, this, that. And I'm just thinking in my imagination of what life will be like with her. But now that I've been married to her for some years, I know what life is like with her. And the things that I don't like, or the things that maybe I wish she would do differently, it's my job to help her get to that point, and vice versa. There's many things that Tracy has said, you know what, Lou needs work in this area. Let me work with him. Let me help him. Let me show him. Let's work together to become better. And see, this is the part why this vow is so important. Do you take this man or woman to be your lawfully wedded husband or wife? Now, let's get into the next vow, babe. To have and to hold.
Yes.
From this day forward. I want you to take on that one.
Well, to have and to hold. Basically, I had to write my notes because there was so much that we had to pull apart with this. But it basically, to have and to hold is a property rights. It's a legal phrase that defines the extent of the interest that is granted or conveyed and the conditions affecting it, right? Genesis 2:24 says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. To have and to hold from this day forward. Right? So having and holding one another basically mean that you're each other's priority. When you go to that altar and you say, I do, you're recognizing that you're putting aside all the other people that had priority in your life, whether it's your parents, your friends, your family member. Once you say, I do to this person.
Even your children.
Yeah. Once you say, I do to this person, essentially what you're saying is, you are my priority. I'm you're each other's priority. You're going to put each other above everyone else. Now, this is a part that a lot of people don't like, but it's real. It's a part of your vows. Now you leave and cleave. You leave everyone behind, and now you're going forth together. You're working together to design and build your lives together. And so when you start to have other people come in, it creates challenges and friction because there is sort of a, let's be real. I'm just going to say it like it's coming to me. It's like, now I'm yours, you're mine. And anyone or anything that gets in between that is a problem. Anyone or anything that gets in between that, I'm yours and you're mine, it's going to cause friction. It's going to cause challenges, arguments, disappointments. It's going to make your marriage very challenging. And so one of the things that happened with Lou and I, just to be real and honest, was in the beginning, it was hard with in-laws because there was a portion of leave and cleave that was not complete. It was a partial leave and cleave because, okay, my husband said, this is the woman he loves. This is the woman that he's going to spend his life with. I'm in agreement with that. We did not walk into the marriage lightly. We had counsel. We did all of those things. But then once we said, I do, other people wanted to take priority. Other people wanted to take precedence over me. And what that caused was frustration, right? Now, it's not to say that when the family members are there, the parents, the family member, the children, yes, they need your attention. Yes, they need your love. Yes, they need your support and all of those great things. But what happens is when you're kind of pushed to the back of the line and everybody is pushed forward, it is going to naturally create friction in your marriage, naturally, because of the vows, because of to have and to hold from this day forward. And so you have to make sure that your leave and cleave is complete. A part of getting counsel before you get married is understanding what does it really mean to leave and cleave. If you don't understand that statement, don't get married yet.
That's right.
Right? The first part of this is where we say, do you take this person to be your lawfully wedded husband and wife, right? You need to understand, are you going into this in a light way? Are you getting into this marriage in a way where you don't fully understand what it is that you're doing? You don't fully understand the responsibility. You don't fully understand what it means to put a person as priority in your life. All of these things, you must have a full understanding about it. And if you don't, once you get in, you're going to have to learn as you go. But that is a little bit more challenging. Not to say that if you don't fully understand these vows, that you can't work through them as you go, because that you can do that. But for the most part, if you don't understand prioritizing each other, you're going to have a lot of bumps in the road and challenges ahead of you. So it's very, very important that you understand Genesis 2:24, right? Leave and cleave in this portion of your vows. When you break it down, you must understand leave or cleave. Now, let me see. I know I had some more.
Well, I just want to add something to that too, Tracy. You know, I think why a lot of people have challenges with the leaving and the cleaving, or even from saying these vows, is because life or death is in the power of the tongue, right? And when we say these words, we will be held accountable for the words that you say. You know, I can't remember who was that told me, but they said that you will be on Judgment Day, you will be held accountable for every word that you said, every joke, every serious conversation, every joking conversation, any dirty joke, everything that you said, you will be held accountable for. So as a result of that, when you are making these vows, these are not just words, these are vows that you're making. When you say these things, you have to say, I'm going to have and hold this person from this day forward, which means not only am I leaving and cleaving, but all past interactions now become secondary, tertiary, or dead. Ex relationships, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-boyfriend, my ex-husband, my previous marriage dies. It's dead. You move it down. Now, of course, we as human beings can never forget it, right? And
sometimes, if with your ex-spouse, you may have children.
You have children,
so, yeah.
or you may have to you may have learned something from it that you want to bring forward. Those things are fine, but meaning the priority that takes goes down because you are now moving forward with this new relationship, right?
Yeah.
And these are I just wanted to share that because a lot of times that's the challenge that a lot of people have. A lot of people tend to be very loose with their words. I love you, or I will never do this. I will always do this. And when you say those words, you're going to be held accountable, not just by the person that you're saying it to, but by the Most High God.
But also, I remember, when you're young, when I was younger, in a previous relationship, I said I love you to someone, and that I love you was tested for authenticity in every way, and the relationship broke up. The relationship obviously didn't make it. But when you say you love someone, it's going to be tested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever there is any level of commitment with another person, commitment in general is going to be tested, right? If you say, for instance, let's just on, let me digress for a moment. If you say, I want to lose weight, I want to lose a certain amount of pounds, I want to get it fit and all of that. Look, you can say it with your mouth that this is what you want to do, but the test is going to come when it's raining outside. Are you still going to get up and go to the gym? When it's snowing, 2 feet of snow is outside. Are you still going to get up and work out? Are you going to find another place to work out? Maybe instead of going to the gym, you're going to work out at home. There's a commitment. The moment you make a commitment to do something, it's going to be tested.
Yep.
The moment you make any kind of commitment, trust me, y'all, I have lived long enough, and all of y'all can attest to this, it's going to be tested. You're going to be tested in that commitment. Same thing with marriage. You say you want to get married, that commitment is going to test you on all different levels. Believe me when I tell you. And another part of to have is the sexual aspect of your relationship. That's another part of to have. It means to enjoy a sexual thing. It means to enjoy a sexual relationship. Right. And so it's a level of comprehension. It's about understanding and knowing, right? You're going to know each other or get to know each other on these levels. That's a part of to have. To have is the sexual part, right? And so another part of to hold is to watch over. You're going to watch over your spouse. You're going to pray for them. You're going to intercede for them. You're going to encourage them. You're going to build them up in the areas where they are weak. This is all a part of to have and to hold. It encompasses that intimacy in your marriage. So understanding this part is very important. And this is why we always encourage couples, right? When we coach couples, we encourage them to even walk through the different areas of your life, like literally write down the different areas: family, friendships, finances, your intimacy, your everything. List every aspect of your life. And it's good to just walk through it, talk about it, discuss it, because these things, when you have an understanding with each other and the both of you are on the same page, it makes life a lot easier,
so much easier
for you as you move forward. But when you don't understand these things and that those disappointments come and those challenges come, then it's going to be what you're going to then do at this point. You're going to be looking at the door like, boy, I'm out of here. This is too much. Right. And so this is why couples, we encourage people that are dating, we encourage you to really become friends, get to know one another, get to know about all the different aspects of each other's lives, get to know each other, get to know each other's negotiables and non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Get to know, about all of the difficult things about, putting scenarios out there. What would happen if your mom or your dad doesn't like me? What if your family meets me and they don't like me? How do you handle that? What are you going to do, when you meet someone? If you don't talk about having children and you walk down that aisle and you find out that this person don't want to have children and it is your heart's desire to have children, these things are vitally important. How do you deal with punishing children? Do you beat your children? Do you yell at your children? Or do you put them in a corner for timeout? these things, they might even seem small, but the moment you say I do, and you're in that covenant and you're in that house and you have to build this life with this person, and you find out that you have less in common than you thought you did, oh boy, that is a stressful household. So it's important. Walk through these vows. We recommend, couples look at the traditional vows. Look, you can sit down and you can say, we'll design our own vows. We'll write our own vows. We're not going to write this. Guess what? It's still going to play out in your life.
That's right.
Whether you like it or not. Why? Because we're people. Why? Because we're flawed. Why? Because it's life. Life happens, right?
Also, keep this in mind too. The enemy hates marriage.
Right.
So the enemy is going to say, oh, you say you love this person? Okay, let's see if you're really about that life. And he'll throw you a curve. All right. I mean, this happens often. And again, I love what you said, Tracy, when you said about a marriage or relationship will be tested for its authenticity, because very often the real essence of something can only be seen when it's tested.
Yeah.
But I love
you
that.
know what's beautiful about the tests also allow you to grow.
Yes.
I truly believe that wholeheartedly. That's been my experience, because even the mistakes we've made in our marriage over the years, we've learned from them. And it's actually allowed us to grow closer. I truly believe that the test becomes your testimonies, your trials become your triumphs. And so we've had a lot of trials, but we've also have a lot of triumphs in our marriage. We've overcome so much, because in those hard times, it forces you to sit down and it forces you to have hard conversations, honest, real, and transparent conversations, and you kind of work it through. And so a huge part of marriage, and I'm still in the area of to have and to hold, a huge part of marriage is that you're going to be helping each other overcome some things.
Correct.
Because I don't care how much you do inner healing and you do all these things before you get married, there's going to be some things that once you get married, you're going to realize, hey, this is an area I thought I dealt with it, but it's still kind of an Achilles heel kind of situation in my life. And you help your spouse through that. You help your spouse through, you're going to help each other through many different challenging terrain, right? You're going to help each other there in the valley. You're going to help each other as you're climbing up the mountain. You're going to be helping each other up. And so it's a teamwork thing, right? You have to, in every way, you are teaming up with this person, and you're even teaming up with their flaws. You're teaming up with their challenging family members, situations, mentalities, idiosyncratic behaviors. You're teaming up with all of that because we all have them in different ways, some more than others. But the truth of the matter is, we're human beings. So when you get into a marriage, you're going to have to walk in with a level of grace and mercy for that person, recognizing that they're going to mess up. They're going to disappoint. And it's not just them, it's you too. You. Just like it's me, right?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
have to recognize it's on both ends. This isn't just a one-sided thing. And there's some people who have come to us and said, well, I didn't do anything. The ones that say they're perfect, and I did this and I did that. And I'm like, you know what? If you didn't think you did anything in this relationship, the fact that you put up with it, you're to blame too, because you created that mess. You helped to create that mess. You tolerated that mess. So you're just as much of a mess as the other person. So if one's messy, both is messy, because guess what? You allowed the mess. Hey, that's just my thought on it.
Trey, did you finish that part? or do you have another one?
Yeah.
I love this part. I love this part of the vows because it really puts the rubber to the road. There's not any gray area here. This is where you're saying, you know what? I'm committed to taking care of this person. I'm committed to loving this person from today till I stop breathing. Now, the next couple of vows are the ones that people love to either skip or change, particularly in this current climate, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health. Do you know I actually heard a wedding, there was a wedding video, and the pastor said, for richer or for poorer, and the young lady said, for richer or for richer, and everybody laughed and everybody thought that she was being funny, but unfortunately sometimes there's truth in a lot of jest, right? um she's probably a person that says, oh, I don't speak the language of poverty, it's only about success, and I know a lot of people like that. But the reason why, remember, we're getting into the reason why these vows are put. Even if you are a successful, powerful, wealthy person, what happens if you weren't? What happens if you lost it? What happened if the market crashed? What happened if the circumstances shifted? We pray that it doesn't, but what if it does? Right? Or how about this? The reverse. How about all you've known is poverty? The person you married, all they've known is poverty. And you and poverty get together and you just have more poverty and you say, hey, we just gonna live a poverty life. Then guess what happens? You get blessed, you win the lotto, somebody decides to bless you, and you're no longer poor. Now you're wealthy.
Or the two decide that they're going to fight that spirit and get rid of it.
However it happens, whether they decide to grow or something happens, how would now you act and behave when you're no longer in the state that you were in before? You used to poverty, now you're wealthy. How do you behave? You know how many people have changed their behavior when they got money, or allowed the money to change them? When these are the reason why these vows were put into place, because you are saying, as I am stewarding this marriage, I am going to be with this person regardless of the circumstances. That's essentially what it's saying.
Yes.
Whether I am doing well or I'm not doing well, whether I have a lot of means or I have no means, whether I'm sick or my wife or my spouse is sick, or whether they're healthy. Because a lot of people love when everything is going great. But like Tracy said before, you can test your relationship is going to be tested. I was speaking to a friend of mine and I gave her an example. I said, the difference between being single and being married is this. What if you encountered a situation with your spouse that the circumstances change? Would you still love your spouse? She said, absolutely, of course. I love my boyfriend. I said, okay, that's awesome. I said, are you intimate with your boyfriend? Yes, he's wonderful. I said, okay, great. What if your boyfriend, God forbid, something happened to him and he could no longer be intimate with you? Would you stay with your boyfriend for the rest of your life? She looked back like she said, whoa, I never thought about that. I said, exactly. See, in marriage, you are committing to that. Now, is that appealing to your flesh? Do you want that? Do you desire that? Would that be challenging? Would that be rough? Of course it would be. But guess what? That's what you're signing up for. I have a good friend of mine in Chicago. The last 10 years of his life, his wife was very sick. I believe she had cancer or some other disease. And he stayed by her side and he loved on her. Clearly, that portion of their life couldn't happen anymore. But he loved her still because he was committed to her because of that portion of the vows, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, for better, or for worse. You see, because a lot of times we have to be protected from our own fleshly self. Your fleshly desires always wants to be satisfied. You don't want hardship. Nobody likes hardship. Some people have more, they have a greater aversion to pain than they do to success. Right? It doesn't feel good to not feel good. We understand these things. But I'm saying, regardless of what goes on in this woman's life, I'm there. Whether times are good, times are not good. She's healthy, she's not healthy. Whatever the circumstances, we have made that commitment. Every married person should make that commitment, because only at that time is love shown. Love is an action word. Love is not just a description or a feeling. It's an action word. The love is the practice of loving shows love.
Yeah.
You know, and that was something that I think a lot of people, maybe in this current generation, really don't think about. They just think, oh, I love this person, man, we'll make a power couple, let's do this. Like I don't know if y'all know that Jagged Edge song, we might as well do it. No, you don't might as well. You are making a serious decision under God to commit to this person to the rest of your life. And when you take it that seriously, now there's all this prenup and all this irreconcilable differences, all this stuff that usually breaks up these marriages 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, all that stuff goes out the window. You guys know, you've seen two people get together and you're like, oh, I don't know about that one. Why? Because you can tell that it was made with the flesh. It wasn't made with a long, deep commitment. It wasn't made with a spiritual insight. It was made from the flesh. So that's the reason why I just wanted to talk about those couple of vows. If you want to tackle the next one.
Yeah, no, babe, I really love this. And you're absolutely right. You know, I've seen that wedding that you're talking about, where the lady was like, for richer or for richer, and she was adamant. 10 toes down on that one.
Oh
yeah. But the truth of the matter is, as human beings, we're going to go through things in life. And especially when you go into marriage, you have to go into it knowing that I'm willing to take care of this person. I'm willing to be there for this person, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you have situations where there's abuse or there is infidelity, and there are situations where it's extremely toxic and you have to look at other options. I'm gonna put it that way. You have to look at other options. But if the two of you are just going through the normal vicissitudes of life, where there's ups and downs, where there's challenges, you gotta work through those. And when you stay and you work through it, it's amazing how it matures you and it grows you. And very often I find that this is where couples that come together, where they didn't start out in a godly way, you start to see the transition, the spiritual aspect coming in. I know that both of us, we started out more on the flesh side, but as we had to work through those hardships, those things that challenged us to our core. I mean, there are some things we walk through that, my goodness, it was painful. It was painful. We had to crawl through it. We had to fight through it. We had to struggle through it. But we came out on the other side and we started looking at each other and we're like, man, we made it. We made it. We like, high-fived each other like, wow, we didn't think we were going to make it. But you know what? We started to learn what our marriage was made of. We started to learn what we're made of as individuals and together as a couple. And we started recognizing This is why the enemy has been fighting us so much. This is the gold that the enemy did not want to come out of us. This is the assignment that the enemy did not want us to put forth and to do, right? So we started seeing, okay, now we see why those attacks happen. And you know, so as we walk through these vows, we started seeing God, we started to see how God was just magnified in our marriage so deeply. And so we encourage couples, even if you've been married, you could be married for 30, 40, 50 years. Take out those vows and look at them and revisit them and speak them to each other. Do you still do? Would you still, if you had to do it all over again, would you say I do to this person? Would you say I do to me if you had to do it over again?
Absolutely.
I would. You know what? I really had to ask myself that. And I would say I do to you again. I would. And all jokes aside, I really would.
I would too.
Because as and I'd be 10 toes down. And if I could do it all over again, there's just some things that I just would not have done.
Right.
There's some things that I would not have done, but definitely I would choose you again. And so sometimes it's good for the two of you to sit and just revisit your vows and ask each other, you know, do we still do? Do we still have and hold each other? Right? Are we still in a place of for better or for worse? For richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish till death do us part. It's good to sit and walk through those vows periodically because you realize how special and important this person is in your life. And so the next part that we wanted to talk about
is to love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death do you part.
Yeah. You know, the love and the cherish really is that sacrificial love.
Bingo.
You know, Pastor Ewing was talking about this recently, about agape love.
Yeah, I was going to go there.
That deep, abiding love, that unconditional love, where you really love each other and cover each other through the challenges. And no matter what happens, no matter how many intruders that tries to come in from the outside, you are always there to protect each other. There's that level of protection where, yes, it's always good. I think about my husband as a protector, but we protect each other. We cover each other. We don't allow other people to come in and disrespect our spouse. We don't allow friends and family to come in and do what they want and say what they want. We don't have anyone from the outside having their way. And even if you have children, those children should not be able to talk to your spouse in any kind of way either. Right? I know sometimes the blended family situation can be a little bit of a challenge, but you know, when you get married, you become one and everything is one. It is not conditional because when you bring your children in, whether it's one of you that have children or both, they both are your children. You become one. You become one family. So now it's about agreement. Now you're going to say, how are we going to raise these children together under one roof? How are we going to, you know, if there needs to be discipline, how do we discipline them? Right? That is pleasing. And the both of you are in agreement on how you're going to you know, discipline your children, what values and morals you're going to raise them with, you know, how are you as a couple going to interact with each other in front of your children, right? What are some of the things that you're going to do or not do? What are some of the boundaries that you're going to put in place that will make your household a healthy household and not one of strife and discord and division? Because two families coming together under one roof is not easy, right? And so especially you're having children from separate partners, so that also is a little bit of a gray area. But if the two of you come together and even discuss how you're going to deal with the outside parents, you know, are you going to bring them in? Are they going to be a part of the raising of the children, and all four of you are going to raise the children together? Or is it going to be something that you do separate? It's definitely a heavy discussion. And so when you're a blended family, it is essential for you all to understand these vows. It is essential for you to have those important conversations as you come together as a family, to avoid this being difficult, to avoid it being painful, and to even avoid divorce.
You know, Trey, you said something, and I want to just key in on what you were saying. Agreement is key, because whether it's a blended family or a marriage that maybe one person financially is really wealthy and the other person isn't, or a situation where a person has some baggage that they're bringing into the marriage, agreement is key. Because again, remember, the vow is to love and to cherish. That's the part we're going to deal with first. The second half says, till death do you part. Now, the reason why that part of the vow is so important is because you are saying, verbally saying, I am going to love and cherish this marriage with this person till death separates us, until we go back to the Most High God, right? So if that's the case, it's no different than me saying, you know what? Hey man, I'm living in this apartment. I have an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. And this 1-bedroom apartment, they don't allow loud music. But you're a musician and you love music. So you're saying, as long as I am going to be here in this apartment, I'm now going to have to amend my musical playing. I'm going to have to use headphones. I'm going to have to, watch it or go elsewhere to play my music. But what you're going to do is you are going to come into agreement with the place that you're living to abide by the parameters of your living condition. A marriage is the same thing. So
compromise.
It's a compromise. You're going to say, okay, I am coming into agreement with this person, and I'm going to live my life with this person for the rest of my life. That means I have to figure out where I fit in. Or if this is uncomfortable for me, let me figure out along with my spouse, how can we come to something that will work for both of us? How can I be fulfilled in an environment? Very often, that's the place where people break, because when they get to the point where they're not feeling fulfilled, instead of working on it, and instead of the other person recognizing that that person is not fulfilled and working with them, they just say, oh, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this person. Or I'm not getting filled. Or this is a problem. Or that's a problem.
It's a part of the cancel culture. I think we live in a time where it's, people are just disposable. People become impatient. And then it's like, oh, I can't be bothered. And then it's like, let's just move on.
Yeah.
But we can't just throw each other and discard each other like that. One of the most powerful growth spurts in my life has been learning how to coexist with my husband, learning how to work through challenges, because that's what we all need to do. You got to learn how to work it through, work out the kinks. You don't just throw out the baby with the bathwater. You say, you know what, how are we going to work through this? Because, there's nothing more powerful than a problem solver.
Right.
Problem solvers are true leaders. They say, no, we're not going to retreat. We're not going to throw this away. We're not going to discard this. We're going to find a solution. How can we make this work for us? And that's what's happening in today's time. A lot of people, they don't want to deal with being human.
The human experience.
They want to, because I think a part of it is the culture we're in, the technology. You turn on your cell phone and it comes up. You're able to use it right away. There's no lag. You put your food in the microwave, you heat it up in a minute. You got hot food on your plate. Everything is instant. Instant meals, instant everything. You don't have to wait for anything. And so when people have to wait for something, they become frustrated and impatient. Indeed. And they're ready to just discard everything, right? If you think about it, if you open up your computer and it's lagging a little bit, you want to pick that sucker up and just throw it out the window and you're done with it. That's not how we got to get away from that. If we want to create a culture of lasting marriages, we got to be patient with one another. We have to learn how to work together.
Yeah. I wanted, because you just said something and it just sparked a thought in my head. Very often people their view of marriage is based upon what they see in someone else. Maybe you grew up in a household where there wasn't a marriage, or you grew up with a dysfunctional marriage, or whatever the case is that you've witnessed in your life. One key thing to keep in mind is that your marriage is unique to you and your spouse. If you saw negativity, you make the vow, I will not have that negativity perpetuate in my marriage. I have a good friend of mine. He grew up without his father. And growing up without his father, he said, if I have children, they will never know what it's like not to have a father. And he's a great father. I know both of his children, and he is a doting father, because he made that decision that I saw dysfunction, so I refuse to allow that dysfunction to be in my new family, in my marriage. And that is the mindset that I think we should have some more. I didn't mean to cut you, babe. Go ahead.
No, I totally agree. What's beautiful is when you get married to someone, you're both like architects, right? So you're coming in and you two sit down and you design it how you like it.
I love that.
It's the two of you designing your life. What do you want your finances to look like? What do you want your home to look like, right? And even if the both of you are coming in, if one got 10 cents, another one got 50 cents, guess what? Now you have 60 cents. And you start from there and you just keep building together. That's what taking a vow with someone looks like. It's wherever we come in, let's start from here and go forward and begin to work together to design the life that we are believing God for. And then you bring God in and you start putting in all of the other pieces that were missing, right? So for us, the spiritual piece was missing. And guess what? The Lord led us and we were able to get into, get our marriage more aligned spiritually, right? We came in, neither of us had much. We didn't come in with a lot, but we worked together to build a life, to buy a home, and have bought several homes and all kinds of powerful things that happened during our marriage, right? And continues to happen because why? Teamwork, right? We decided, this is where we want to live. This is how we want to furnish our home. This is the car we want to drive. This is the vacations that we want to take. And so that's the beauty of marriage. You have two architects coming together to design the life that God has given you.
Amen.
And it starts with reciting those vows. It starts with speaking those vows to one another. Because as you're standing at that altar before your family and before your friends, you are committing to this person. You are saying, I'm standing here 10 toes down. I am in full awareness of what it is that I'm doing. I'm not coming into this lightly. I was not coerced. I want none of that. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm here because I'm led to be here. And so whether you hear from God or not, because there's also a lot of talk about, God chooses your spouse and all of that. And maybe he does. For some people, he does. For some people, they think they hear God and then they get into the marriage. Now, here's what's interesting. I've been in scenarios where people got married and they said, God put us together. This is a God thing. But 1 year later, they're filing for divorce. And I'm like, but what happened? You said both of y'all said God put you in here. So why are you leaving after a year? Was God lying? Did y'all maybe thought y'all heard God or what? Because you brought him in. Don't lie on him now. You want out after a year because the people don't want to compromise. They don't want to do the work because they're like, this work right here is not what I expected. And so that's a lot of times people put God in this. It's better for you to even think in your mind, okay, Lord, I know you brought me this person. It's better for you to not even verbalize it because you don't want to lie on God. Because if you decide you're going to get weak and be in your flesh and walk out of this thing, you don't want to be you don't want to be accusing God of lying.
Yeah.
Because you're saying he chose your spouse. So if he chose your spouse, the expectation is that it's going to be till death do you part.
Right.
And that brings us to the last part of till death do you part. It means that you're going to commit to stay in this thing till the end. And like I said, there's situations and circumstances where if your life is in danger, you're being abused, you're being cheated on, you're being all of those things, that's a different scenario. We're talking about the couples who just go through the everyday life stuff, right? Just working through the kinks of life, the challenges and the difficulties of life. The expectation is that you're going to stay in there and work out those kinks. Because believe me when I tell you, yeah, I ran on the 15th year, but I came to my senses. And I came back in and I said, Father, I am 10 toes down in this. And we're going to do this right this time and make it work. Till death do us part. And we said, you know what? This time we're going to do it with you, Father. We're going to do it the right way. And so I want to encourage you, if you are a married couple or you're looking to get married, understand these vows. And marriage, it is going to test you.
Yes.
On many levels, if not all levels. It's going to test you.
It's going to expose you.
But it's going to expose, yes, it's going to expose you to each other.
Yes.
A mirror is going to be held up in front of each other. And you have to be willing to look in that mirror and be mature enough to say, you know what? I got some work to do. Let's put on these overalls. Let's get that construction hat and let's get to working.
That's right.
And if you do that,
we had to do that.
You're going to come out on the other side and you're going to thank God that you did it.
Man.
Because before you know it, you'll be at 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. Your parents are celebrating 55 years this
55,
year.
yeah.
His parents are celebrating 55 years of marriage. And trust me, You do it one step at a time. And if you got to eat an elephant, you got to eat it one bite at a time. You can't shove the whole elephant in your mouth. You got to be patient. And it's a delicate walk, but it's worth it.
Amen.
It's worth it. And especially when you glorify God in your marriage, you will be so joyful and so proud of each other as a couple when you stay in there and work through those kinks. Pray for one another, intercede for one another, love on one another, edify one another, speak highly of one another.
Right.
When it gets hard, if you don't have anything good to say, zip your lip until you can find something good to say, because those words are going to start to come against you. Those words that you release in the atmosphere about your spouse is going to start to proliferate. And not only will it be on you, others will start to feel like they could talk to your spouse that way. So no matter what, if it gets rough, just get quiet, get into prayer, get your scriptures, continue to pray, continue to work, go to counseling, go to conferences. Hey, come to St. Lucia. We got some work. We got some things that we're going to do with the couples that you guys are going to absolutely love, that is going to bond you closer. Whatever you need to do, there's many things that you can do to assist you in this work, because you're not alone, right? So I really, really, really want y'all. Yes, Dana, she said, great nugget. You just said zip it until you can get it together with the Lord.
Amen.
Yes.
I want to share something. And this is just as for your notes, if you're taking notes, because this is, sometimes we share these things and we give you a lot of information, and sometimes it can be overwhelming, and you could just be like, man, I'm not sure if marriage is for me. I'm not, I want to get married. I don't want to I don't. Here's the reality. This is just, I like to simplify things. This is who marriage is not for. If you're desperate, if you're immature, if you're selfish, if you're frustrated and you're needy, marriage may not be for you unless you address those things. Now, marriage is for people that are mature, faith-filled, selfless, and those committed to working on it. Now, you notice I didn't put any emotional things in here. The love part, the desire part, the sex part, the attractiveness part, those are a part of marriage as well. But those are the parts that are the surface. What we're giving you is the depth part. This is the part that's not going to just get you to the wedding. This is going to keep you married. And that's what we wanted to share with the vows.
Yeah, and I believe that, people have to recognize that you need to work on yourself sometimes. When your spouse highlights things in you, it's not a time for you to be offended. Because remember, if your spouse says, you know what, I don't like when you I don't know, you like if you're sitting with your spouse and you're smacking real loud, right? And it irritates your spouse.
Explain what smacking is. Some people may not know what that is.
Like when you eat with your mouth open and you're smacking, making a lot of noise. It could be something that's highly irritating to your spouse. Now, instead of you going, well, that's just me, what's your problem? That's how I've always been like that. Instead of saying that, say, you know what? I didn't realize that this was something that irritated you. I'm going to work on it. So guess what? Can you help me work on it? Every time I start smacking during me eating, please remind me that I'm smacking.
Right.
And eventually you'll stop. If you truly don't want to upset your spouse, eventually you really work on it, right? If you're a person that you know, that you like to stay up late at night and you know, don't like to go to bed at a certain time, but your spouse likes to go to bed at a certain time, make a compromise, work it out. Whatever it is, work it out. And bedtime, you want to go to bed together because, hey, you know, at nighttime, that's when lovey-dovey time. So if one
So you
is
saying
sitting up,
nighttime is the right time?
nighttime is the right time.
Okay.
So if one is up all night and the other one is in the bed going to bed, it's kind of like, when do you get together? Unless you have another time that you do that. But it's important. Go to bed together. Maybe not every night, maybe 5 nights or 4 nights. You compromise. You like to stay up late. Maybe on the weekends you stay up late, but during the week, go to bed together at the same time. And you know what? You go to bed together. You can sit and pray together. You can hold each other. You can talk. You can really have like this routine at night that brings calm and soothe to the day. Right? You can end the day in a beautiful and a special way. And so anyway, family, I didn't realize it's 9:17. My goodness, we could have kept going with this. But prayerfully, this helped someone. I pray that this was a blessing to you guys. All I can say is this: be patient with your spouse.
Yes.
Love on your spouse.
Yes.
Love them. Love them. Cherish them. Because I can guarantee you, some people are taking their spouse for granted, and there's somebody else out there that would take your spouse and love on them in a special way. And so there's many out here that wish they were in your position. Many that wish, and they're praying morning, noon, and night for a spouse. And here you are with a whole husband or a whole wife, and you're taking them for granted and you're acting like it's not a big deal. Look, to me, that's a slap in the face to God. So when you have a spouse, he has provided you with someone that's loving and kind and caring. Cherish that. Cherish them. Love on them. Do things to make them happy. Do things to bring them joy. And if they ask you, if there's something that your spouse doesn't like, or something that they want to, you need to change, instead of fighting them and arguing with them, make the change. It's worth it. It's worth it. All right. So that's it, y'all.
That's it, guys. So we hope you got something out of this. We hope that this caused you to look at the vows in a little bit different way. But more importantly, we hope that you take marriage more seriously, because it's a beautiful thing and it's not something to be taken lightly. And it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift that God has given unto us, and we should cherish it. So with that being said, guys, we will see you guys next week.
God
same
bless
time
you guys. Thank you for
Hump
joining
Day
us.
with the Humphreys.
Take care, everyone.
Take care,
God
everybody.
bless you all.
Have a good night.
If you wanna be heard and you want it to last, you gotta put in work. Forget about your past. With a marriage mechanic.